there's a moment, quiet as dusk, somewhere between memory and dream, where a man sits alone, not in sorrow, not even in confusion, but in a stillness he cannot name. He may be driving home after another day of ordinary noise, or lying in bed, staring at the ceiling in the hush of 3 a.m. And there, in that silent hum beneath his thoughts, he wonders, how will I know when she's the one? It's not desperation, not even longing. It's deeper than that. It's the soft ache of recognition waiting to happen. Maybe you've felt it too. That strange sense that someone, somewhere, already knows you. That you're not searching for love so much as remembering it. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But what if it's more than reaction? What if it's a reuniting? What if, beneath the surface of this reality, a timeless current is guiding us? Not toward new love, but toward an old truth? This is not a checklist or formula. This is a story, your story, and the soul's. Jung believed that every human being carries within them ancient, universal images, the archetypes, whispers of a shared psyche stretching back through millennia. They emerge in dreams, myths, art, and love. Especially love, because love is the great mirror, the one in which you see not only her, but yourself. And when a man meets the one, what he truly meets is a forgotten part of his own soul. Jung called it the Anima, the feminine within the masculine. She is not just a woman. She is the inner woman, the emotional, intuitive, poetic feeling center of the man's psyche. And when she appears in waking life, not just in dream but in flesh and eyes and voice, something stirs. It's not about her being perfect. It's that she moves something ancient inside you. She reflects the woman. You carry in your soul the image that's been forming since boyhood. Not just a desire, not just a fantasy, but a symbol of wholeness. The first time you see her, it might not make sense. It might not even be romantic. It might feel like déjà vu, or like remembering a song you never knew you knew. There may be no fireworks, but a hush will fall, like the moment just before a storm, or after one. And beneath your chest, not lust, but recognition. Not, she's the one I've been looking for, but rather, ah, there you are. Have you ever met someone who made you feel more you? Who didn't add anything, but uncovered something? As if her presence opened a door in your own mind you hadn't known was there? This is not always comfortable. In fact, it rarely is, because the soul does not seek comfort, it seeks completion. And so, the anima in life does what she does in dream. She provokes, she awakens, she disturbs the old order. Suddenly, the things you buried surface. Your insecurities, your boyhood wounds, your fears of not being enough. This isn't dysfunction. This is initiation. You are being invited, not just to love her, but to finally love the pieces of yourself you've kept locked away. Jung called this the process of individuation, becoming whole. And love, true love, is the great catalyst of this becoming. So how does a man know? How does he really know? It's not with his mind. It's not with logic. It's in a place deeper than reason. It's in the dream he wakes from and can't explain. It's in the chill on his neck when she speaks a truth he thought no one else knew. It's in the feeling that the universe, in all its chaotic mystery, just whispered, "This is her." You see, Jung spoke of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that defy ordinary cause and effect. And when she is near, life will begin to shimmer with them. Songs that echo your thoughts, dreams that bleed into the day, encounters that feel scripted by some unseen hand. You'll tell yourself it's nothing. You'll try to stay rational. But in your bones, you'll feel it. Fate is knocking. Not to bind you, but to awaken you. Because she is not here to complete you. She is here to remind you that you are always whole. That what you seek in her lives in you. But the knowing is not always sudden. Sometimes it grows, like fire under ice, like roots beneath stone. You might resist it. You might test it. You might run. And yet, she lingers, not in your arms perhaps, but in your psyche, in your gut, in your dreams. Her name becomes a bell, her absence a presence, her memory a map back to yourself. This is not infatuation. It is alchemy, the slow transmutation of soul through the fire of connection. When she is the one, you don't just fall in love. You fall inward, into the deeper caverns of your being, into the child you were, into the man you're becoming, and most of all, into the great mystery of what it means to be truly known. And maybe now, you understand why it's hard to explain, why the moment you know isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a breath, a look, a silence. Sometimes it's just the feeling that, for once in your life, you don't have to try so hard to be seen, because she already sees you. And not just the mask, not just the story, but the shadow, the ache, the boy behind your eyes, and she doesn't flinch. That is the beginning of knowing. There's a kind of silence that speaks louder than words. You may have noticed it, the moment when you're with her and everything else just fades, not because she demands attention, but because she is attention. Presence, stillness, the kind that doesn't ask anything of you, only offers a mirror. And in that mirror, you see not only her beauty but your truth, because when she is the one, she doesn't complete you. She calls you back to yourself, and the world around you begins to echo that truth. These echoes, these subtle poetic reverberations of soul, are not always dramatic, but they are unmistakable when you learn to listen. Jung would call them archetypal footprints, traces of the deep psyche guiding you home through symbols, feelings, and seemingly unrelated moments. Below are 8 signs, not as answers, but as invitations to look beneath your surface and feel what your mind has been too loud to hear. 1. Her presence feels like a memory you've been waiting to remember. It's not just familiarity. It's not even déjà vu. It's something stranger, more sacred, like she's part of a dream you've been having all your life, but only just now remembered. Jung believed that the psyche stretches beyond the limits of time, that we carry within us the collective unconscious, ancestral, symbolic memory shared by all humans. Sometimes, the soul remembers before the mind does, and when you meet her, your soul might whisper, "Ah, we've met before." 2. She awakens rather than distracts. Infatuation is loud. It's noisy, consuming, restless. But the right connection, the soul connection, is quiet. It steadies you, grounds you, awakens a deeper part of you that was once dormant. You might notice your thoughts sharpen, your heart soften, your creativity flourish. This is the anima at work, not seducing, but illuminating, calling the man inside you into conscious life. 3. Your dreams begin to shift. Dreams are the language of the unconscious. And when a significant soul enters your life, your dreams will reflect the change. You might dream of water, mirrors, old childhood homes, or her face as a symbol, not just a person. Pay attention. In Jungian terms, she may appear not as herself, but as an archetype, a goddess, a guide, a mother, a shadow, a flame. These aren't just stories your mind creates. They're the soul's metaphors, and they're trying to speak to you. 4. She triggers your shadow, but gently. She sees the parts of you you've tried to hide, from others and from yourself. Your shame, your fear of failure, your softness. And instead of shrinking, she holds space. This is shadow work in motion. Jung taught that the shadow, the repressed, unconscious self, must be integrated for true growth. And love often brings it to the surface. When she is the one, you feel both exposed and safe. Because she doesn't shame your darkness. She simply invites it to breathe. 5. Time bends around her. Not literally, but in her presence, time softens. A 5-minute conversation feels like hours. A weekend feels like a dream. You lose track, not in a fog, but in flow. This is Kairos, the sacred time beyond the clock. Jung would say it's the soul stepping forward, displacing the ego's need for control. In her presence, you don't just pass time. You inhabit it. 6 synchronicities multiply. You think of her, and she texts. You hear her name on a passing radio. You open a book, and there's a line that sounds like something she once said. Coincidence? Maybe. But as Jung said, synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence of 2 or more events where something other than the probability of chance is involved. The universe doesn't speak in facts, it speaks in symbols. And when these signs appear, don't analyze, feel. You are being nudged, guided, not by logic but by longing wrapped in mystery. 7. You begin to change without trying. Not because she asks you to, but because being near her calls the real you to the surface. You start saying what you really mean. You set boundaries with kindness. You forgive more. You soften in places that were once hardened by the past. She doesn't push you to grow. She simply inspires it. Not by fixing you, but by making you want to show up fully. This is love as alchemy. And it starts when your inner world begins to rearrange itself in her light. 8. You can't unfeel her. Even if it doesn't work out. Even if timing tears you apart. Even if you both walk away. Something in you remains changed, touched, branded not by pain but by truth. And it doesn't haunt you. It humbles you. You begin to realize meeting her wasn't the point. Being moved by her was. The soul doesn't care about forever in the way the ego does. The soul cares about awakening. And she awakened something. This is the paradox. You may not know in the moment she's the one. You may only know in hindsight, or in the quiet, or in the way your life subtly shifted because of her. But the knowing is not loud. It is soft. It is sacred. It's the calm that comes after a storm you didn't know you were in. It's the feeling that you finally come home to a place you never knew you left. There is a silence in a man that has nothing to do with weakness. It is the stillness of deep waters, the kind that only stirs when something sacred swims near. And when she is the one. When the anima in flesh crosses into his world, that deep water begins to move. But what stirs isn't just desire. It isn't just love. It's a forgotten instinct, quiet, ancient, and holy. The instinct to protect what is sacred, without needing to possess it. In Jungian psychology, the anima is the soul of the man, clothed in feminine shape. She is emotion, intuition, sensuality, chaos, beauty, pain. And when a man encounters her, both within and without, he is being invited into transformation. But the transformation doesn't begin with ecstasy. It begins with humility, because to meet the one is not to win a prize. It's to come face to face with something you don't understand but deeply feel. She doesn't submit to control. She awakens what must be earned. Presence, devotion, conscious strength. This is the sacred polarity Jung hinted at, but which myth, symbol and soul have always known. She is chaos with a crown. You are stillness with a spine. Together not halves but opposites in dance, each calling the other toward deeper essence. So when she enters your life, something old in you wakes up. Not the conqueror, not the seducer, not even the hero, but the guardian of meaning. Because suddenly, your masculinity is no longer about proving, performing, or pursuing. It becomes about holding space, holding silence, holding the truth, even when it shakes you. Because her energy, fiery, fluid, and free, does not come to be claimed. It comes to be honored. And this is where many men stumble. Not because they don't feel the depth, but because they confuse possession with presence. They try to capture her, contain her, make her make sense, but she is not here to be understood. She is here to be witnessed. Imagine this. A woman walks into your world. She doesn't ask for anything. She simply is. And in her being, you begin to remember your own. She doesn't need your armor. She needs your naked soul. That means standing there, unguarded, letting her see your wounds without turning them into weapons, letting her feel your hunger without making her its meal. That is the mature masculine, the one who can see beauty and not devour it, the one who can feel fire and not try to cage it, the one who can say, "You are free," even when every part of him wants her to stay. Because here's the secret Jung knew. The feminine doesn't just want your love. She wants your integration. She wants the man who has faced his shadow, who has danced with his demons, who has walked through fire and can now stand in hers without flinching. When she is the one, she doesn't fall for your persona, your mask, your charm, your projected confidence. She falls for your essence, the part of you that no longer needs to impress, because it knows how to be. So how does the sacred polarity play out in love? It's not in control. It's in containment. She flows, you hold, not by gripping, not by defining, but by witnessing fully without turning away. To be the container is not to dominate. It is to create safety. A space where her voice doesn't shrink, where her rage is allowed, where her vulnerability is not seen as weakness, but as a language you've learned to understand. And she softens, not because you made her, but because your presence gives her permission to be what she already is. In ancient myth, the feminine often appears as the goddess, the enchantress, the wild maiden, the weaver of fate. But these aren't just stories, they're blueprints. And in each of them, the man is called not to capture her, but to rise to the level of the love she holds. That means growing. That means grieving. That means shedding the masks of boyhood and stepping into the burden of sacred masculinity, which is not about being strong enough to carry her, but about being stable enough to stand next to her while she walks her own storm. So when she is the one, you don't feel like you need to fix her pain. You simply refuse to look away from it. You don't need to prove yourself to her, because you already feel chosen, not by her, but by life, to show up as you really are. You don't claim her as property. You protect the space between you as holy, because the soul doesn't want a cage. It wants a temple. And love, real love, isn't something you hold in your hands. It's something you stand inside of, like light in a cathedral. This is the power of the sacred polarity. It doesn't make one person more than the other. It makes both more than they were alone. She awakens your depth. You protect her flame. And together you birth a third thing. A relationship that isn't built on need, but on meaning. And that meaning will anchor you. When life gets hard, when emotions run high, when ego begs you to run or retaliate or retreat, you'll remember, she isn't here to be yours. She's here to be seen, felt, honored, and if life allows it, loved. Not as a possession, but as a presence. There comes a moment in every man's journey when he no longer asks, is she the one? But rather, can I meet her as the man I was meant to become? Because the question was never really about her. It was about you. About the you beneath the roles, the routines, the fear. About the soul that's been waiting, not for permission to love, but for permission to become. And in her presence, if she is truly the one, you begin to feel it. Not certainty in the mind, but clarity in the body, in the pause between your breath, in the way the noise of the world recedes when she enters the room, in how your instincts say yes, even when your ego still resists. This is not fantasy. It is not blind romance. This is the soul's knowing, and it is the most sacred compass you have. Carl Jung knew that love was not just emotion. It was initiation, a summoning of the self toward greater wholeness. And when the feminine appears in her true form, whether as a partner, a muse, a friend, or even a passing connection, she brings the possibility of that wholeness to the threshold of your heart. But to step across that threshold, you must first do something most men fear more than failure. Surrender, not to her, but to the truth she reflects. Because when she is the one, she doesn't just show you love. She shows you where you've closed to love. She shows you where you've abandoned yourself. She shows you the places still locked in silence, still aching in shadow. And if you're brave, you won't run. You won't label her too much, too emotional, too intense. You'll listen, not just to her, but to the part of you she awakens. So what does it mean to trust your inner knowing? It means no longer outsourcing your truth to logic, lists, or other people's opinions. It means no longer asking, is she the one? Like it's a riddle to solve, but rather listening for the quiet voice within that says, I feel seen, I feel moved, I feel more myself in her presence. And even deeper than that, I want to rise, not for her approval, but because something sacred in me has been called to life. That's the kind of knowing no book can give you. No mentor, no algorithm. It's older than your intellect. It lives in your chest, in your bones, in the way your hands tremble when you touch something real. Here is what your soul already understands. When she is the one, you will recognize her by how you remember yourself. You won't feel addicted. You'll feel aligned. You won't feel consumed. You'll feel clear. You won't need to chase. You'll choose from a place of deep truth, not fear, because she doesn't offer escape. She offers encounter with yourself, with the divine, with the mystery of two becoming more. And yet, this love is not without cost, because to hold something sacred, you must become sacred in how you hold it. That means honesty. That means presence. That means integrity even when it's uncomfortable. You may be tempted to project onto her, to make her your savior, your mother, your cure. But if she is truly the one, she won't let you. She will call you, sometimes with tears, sometimes with silence, to meet her as an equal soul. Not to save her, not to fix her, but to walk beside her with your full truth intact. You see, the journey to find the one was never a journey to find her. It was the journey back to yourself, and she was the reflection, the reminder, the sacred mirror through which you glimpsed your own light and your own wounds. She didn't complete you. She revealed what was already whole inside you, waiting to be loved. So whether you end up with her forever, or whether she passes through your life like a comet across a night sky, honor her, because her presence was not random. It was a synchronicity, a divine appointment, a sign that your soul is ready to grow. And if you're still asking, but how do I really know? Here is the answer, spoken not in certainty, but in spirit. You'll know by the stillness. You'll know by the soft ache in your chest that says, this matters. You'll know by the dreams that speak in symbols, by the way your anger softens into grief, by the way your strength bends into tenderness. You'll know because your soul will no longer settle for surface love. You'll know because you've done the work to recognize the sacred when it stands before you. And you'll know because you no longer feel afraid to open. Not because you won't get hurt, but because you finally trust yourself to heal. So dear soul, if you've met someone who stirs something ancient in you, who reflects not only your joy but your jagged edges, who sees you not just for what you do, but for who you are, listen, not with your mind, not with your ego, but with your intuition, with the place in you that knows what is real, what is rare, and what is holy. And then protect it, honor it, walk slowly, humbly, and courageously toward it, because maybe she is the one, or maybe she was the one who showed you how to finally find you. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But now you know. You've seen the dream behind the desire. You've touched the mirror behind the myth. Love is not fate, it's awareness. And the one is not someone who completes you. She is the one who calls your soul to rise, to remember, to return.